everybody. I'm hoping that you guys are all safe from the Hurricane Helena. I don't know if any of you guys are really close to the water down here. Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, the states that got hit really, really hard. There was a lot of damage. I hope no one in my group has any damage. I hope you guys came out of it well. So it was pretty devastating for some places. Pretty devastated, wiped out. Where I live, in downtown city portion, which is close to the ocean, which is part of the Gulf Coast in Mexico, they got flooded. Certain parts of Bonita got flooded, so it was pretty bad. I saw some South Carolina footages where they were underwater, and I didn't hear too much about how many lives were lost yet. I don't know why. Usually that's like big with the news, like, oh yeah, 28 people were killed, 30 people were killed, but if they're not talking about anybody dying, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe everybody was safe for the storm, that they didn't get killed. Maybe they didn't act so foolish, because people are foolish. It's okay to do certain things, you want to have a party, but stay safe at it, you know what I mean? It's like, there's no reason to put anybody in harm's way because you think it's a joke. It's not a joke. People lose their lives, they lose their homes, they lose their businesses, they lose their livelihood, they lose their schools, their churches. And these storms that we're getting, I mean, I'm still not convinced that with this climate weather stuff, but we have been getting increasing storms. I'm not going to go to the far extreme either, saying, hey, the Bible says it's going to happen this way. And it does, but I'm not going to go that direction either. All I'm going to say is that I've noticed that the storms have become a lot worse, over the past year or so, maybe a couple of years. We just need to stop taking it lightly. But the other thing is, now, this is kind of common sense, and I hate to say this to you people, but if you're buying up all the water and all the toilet paper, you're an asshole. And here's why I say that. You go out and you buy, 10 cases of water and three bundles of toilet paper. You better be giving them to your family and friends, passing them out, sharing it. But if you're hoarding that stuff for yourself, then really, why? You live in a place that has hurricanes. You live in a place that has flooding. The odds of you getting hit are high. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, you live in Naples, you get hit with a Cat 4, your house goes under. What happens to all those supplies that you just bought? All that toilet paper, gone. Because you know why? You shouldn't have turned around and bought so much. So God's punishing you. You know what? That's even wrong. I shouldn't say that, but that's what it should be. You know what I mean? It's like, you didn't leave it. You don't need to use all that stuff up. You don't need to buy all of that stuff. It's ridiculous. You need to get enough that's going to keep you safe for, a couple of weeks, maybe, or a week, a couple of days, anywhere between a couple of days and a couple of weeks. Let's put it that way. So there's really no reason to buy up excess amount of water. Calculate out what you need and buy what you need. If you live on city water, city sewer, go out and buy plastic jugs, gallon jugs. They have them, storage jugs, and and fill them up with water, from your house before the storm comes. I mean, the only reason people, don't drink the water and city water, city sewer is because it becomes contaminated if the hurricane damages stuff. Then it mixes with the sewage and you can't drink it. It's undrinkable. But you can make water drinkable if you know what you're doing and you have the right products, like sterilization stuff, where you can change it, turn it around. But I mean, even then, if you don't want to do that, that's fine. There's old ways of doing stuff. You have city water, you have city sewer. Make sure your bathtub is clean, unless you're a pig, and it's not going to happen. But fill your tub up with water. I remember growing up when they used to say, yeah, we're going to get a storm, we're going to have a tornado, or, whatever it was that was hitting us, or a blizzard. My mom would get out there and she'd fill up that tub with water. We'd take, GI bats, but we had drinking water. We had water to cook with. So if you think it's going to be that bad, go old school. But you can buy those camping containers, those waters. You can do almost anything. You can set up a portable shower. I mean, things can be done. There's no reason for you to be greedy. And, and I think here's my biggest thing, and I'm going to say this. People are going to say, no, I'm lying, blah, blah, blah. But, I don't really care. Ever since the government stepped in and they took God out of the equation, this is what we've been getting, Now, I'm not saying God smites, but let's face facts. This is what's happening. So we're getting a lot of non-believers. It's like, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but that's what it is. I think we need to put God back in, because God had kept us safe. Whether you want to believe it or not, He has. I've noticed in my lifetime the difference. Now, I'm not saying to you that you have to believe. That's on you. It's up to you. But I remember growing up, there was a point where I walked away. I walked away from the church. I walked away from God. And I had my doubts and what was making me not want to be associated with it. But then something happened, and I did the one thing that I said that I don't need to do anymore, is I sat down and I prayed to God, and I asked His forgiveness for me to walk away, from me walking away. I asked my forgiveness to Him for doing that and not believing in Him, not trusting and not having the faith. But one of the things reasons that I really walked away from was that they were lying to us. They weren't telling us the truth. Now, do they think we're too stupid to handle the truth? Or do they think that we're going to go, nah, that's not true, so we're just going to ignore it. They're full of it. They're just telling these feeble-minded stories. But it's not. They're not feeble-minded stories. They have a point. Now, can they get a tad bit convoluted? Man, that's possible. I mean, how many of you guys remember that I don't know, I forgot the name, what they called it, but you guys know what I'm talking about. In school, when the teacher walked up to the very first student in the first row and said something to him, and then he turned around and told the kid behind him, and so on, all the way to, and then when the last kid in the class in the opposite row was asked what was he told, it had nothing to do with it. So yeah, that's a possibility. It happens. I mean, it's not like we had like computers and word searches and you couldn't fact check. So You have people writing it down. Some people wrote it down. Some people. My point is, it was very loosely done. So, are they stories? Yeah, they are. That's exactly what they are. They're stories of Jesus Christ and his path through our world, and how he shows compassion and love, and he's teaching us this stuff. So, could they get a little twisted up and overdone? Yeah, sure. But my problem, like I said, is they lie. So I remember growing up, and this is just one of the things that they lied about, is like St. Christopher. How many of you guys actually remember St. Christopher? He was the patron saint of travel. Everybody had one on his dashboard. It was a thing, you know. We all did it. Well, I don't know if it was an Italian thing or a Catholic thing, but we all did it. And we all, you know, when we were going somewhere, I remember, you know, my parents, you know, touching it, kissing us, and off we go on our journey. And we arrive safe and we get back safe. And that was what he did. He overlooked travel. Then all of a sudden, I don't know, I think I was like 15 years old. I was doing my confirmation classes, and we had a nun who everybody loved, named Sister Christopher. Okay? Now, Sister Christopher was named after, of course, St. Christopher. Now, all of a sudden, boom, they abolished St. Christopher. There's no more. Sister Christopher had to change her name. She's no longer Sister Christopher. And that was the end of it. Sorry, I got an itchy nose this morning and it just doesn't want to stop. Excuse me. So anyway, Sister Christopher had to, you know, come up with a new name. So the other thing is, if you go back and you start at the beginning and you look at, you know, Adam and Eve, okay? If you're one of these people that need to turn around and dig in for, you know, for stuff to like understand it, you can go down a pretty big rabbit hole, yeah. Now, I done it, and people think I'm insane, but here's what I'm gonna tell you. God said that he made Adam in his image, okay? And then when Eve came along, he made her from Adam's rib because he needed a partner. He was lonely. He needed to reproduce, just like the animals and the vegetation, okay? So if you follow Adam and Eve and you go through the process, you know, where did these other people come from? Because it was never mentioned, you know, that there was more than one Adam or there was more than one Eve. So in the Catholic way, they only say Adam and Eve, and then Adam and Eve had 2 children, and they were both boys, Cain and Abel. Well, Cain kills Abel over jealousy. Jealousy of what? You know, of a woman. That's what he was jealousy of, a woman. So, was he jealous of Abel because Eve loved Abel more? Or did he thought that? Or did he fall in love with his mother? I mean, if you pick the story apart, it talks in single. It never talks about plural in the beginning. And then all of a sudden it's like, you know, Cain finds a wife, you know, you know, where did this wife come from if there was only an Adam and an Eve? You know what I mean? It's not like you could turn around and you know, reproduce that rapidly. So it kind of like leans towards that we were built, our world was built religiously on incest, which is against God. Now, if you think about something in a logical aspect, now I'm not saying any of this is true, I'm just giving a scenario, so please don't jump all over me saying, oh, you're giving false information. I'm not giving any false information. I'm giving theory, okay? So, if we were built on Ancestors, it makes sense, because that's one of the Unforgiven, okay? That's one of the, rules against God, okay? When they say love thy mother and father, or honor thy mother and father, they're not talking about, having sex with mom or having sex with dad. You know what I mean? That's not what they're talking about. So, did we build that way? Because I know we didn't come from the ocean. I mean, because that's just nonsense. And I know we didn't come from monkeys, because we would still be seeing the evolution of it if that was the case. It didn't just stop, or did it? I mean, see, this is what doesn't make sense. So, when you start looking at stuff like that, it's like, why did they lie to us? Like the first sin, ate an apple. The fruit was symbolic. It wasn't really an apple. It was a symbol. It was a symbol of a sin. It was a symbol of something that God put there to tempt you with, to test you, to make sure that your love for Him and your faith stayed strong. And in that case, Eve didn't do too well, because she was seduced by the serpent. Now, we all know that the serpent is evil. So, why did God place a serpent in the Garden of Eden, a place that's supposed to be holy and beautiful and untouched with evil? So, if the first sin was shame, and they had to cover their bodies, it's because she was seduced and she had sex, and that was the given. But the Catholic religion is not going to tell you that's the given. You know what I mean? That she committed adultery. So, because the Ten Commandments don't come until way later, after that. But she broke the sanctity of purity. So now purity no longer exists. So she makes the first sin. But they don't tell you that. And there's more to it. It's like, we went through the separation of religion and state, or state and religion, however you want to put it, right? You keep religion out of politics, you keep politics out of religion. What happened? Now politics are all stuck up in religion, telling you what you can and can't do. They should be telling us what we can and can't do from the get-go. Never mind our faith. That's why we have, the Constitution, which allows us to do this stuff. So anyway, it's pretty tricky. I'm not pushing anything on anybody, so don't take it that way. I think that if you want to love God, and you want to believe and worship in God, then you go and you do it. It's on you. I mean, it's an individual thing. It's not, a forced thing. We're grown people. We don't need to be told what to do and when to do it and how to do it. I mean, you should just know. So, one of the other things that taught me, that kind of turned me off, and it was weird. I had taken someone to a mass with me one day that never been to a Catholic mass, and as the mass was going on, I was trying to explain what was happening, and explain the mass, and explain the certain portions of it. and a deacon came over and he's like, you either stop talking or you need to leave. So first of all, I wasn't really talking. I was explaining something to the person that didn't understand what was going on. So anyway, I got his point. What I didn't appreciate is the fact that he thought he was like the ultimate shit. You know, that he's just gonna tell me what to do, and I'm supposed to bow down and kiss his backside. But that's not happening. You know what I mean? So, God forbid if you had to teach. What if she had a learning impairment or a hearing impairment and she didn't have her hearing aids on, or you know, something was wrong with her? You know, you're not. You know what I mean? It's like he was just downright rude, and I saw him the following week, and I spoke to him, and I was like, listen, you were out of line. You shouldn't have spoken to me in that manner. That was disrespectful. I was with my friend. They never been to a mass. They were confused. I was trying to help them understand where we're at and get them to say, you know, show them how to do it. And you were just nasty. So if you can't do your job in a very polite way, then you need to reconsider what you're doing on a Sunday, because you don't belong here, because that's not godly. A lot of people think because they go to church every Sunday that they're going to be saved. You're just telling me what you see on Sunday. I don't know what the hell you do every other day. So anyway, I got to go do some stuff, and I'm going to go for now. Peace out. Love you. Have a good Saturday.